아이고. 급한 일 처리하고 다시 돌아왔는데, 그러고 나니까 벌써 1시 갔네. 야, 이거 오늘은 깨야 된다. 아, 진짜 이거 깨기 전에 잠 안 잔다. 야, 길 알았으니까 문제만 갖고는, 문제가 그리고 이상하면은, 이렇게 탈 수 있다는 것까지도 알았으니까, 기변 모르는 게 문제네. 이게, 아닌가? 근데 보면은, 길처럼 당연히 보이는 게 정상인데 왜 나는 이거 안 보이지? 아무튼 가자. 쫙! 찾아라! 여기는 순식간에 풀고, 좀 어려웠다. 근데 사실 이거 별로 이거 오래 걸리면 중요하지도 않아. 어차피 네가 시간 쓰는 거는 이런 데서 지금 시간 쓰고 있잖아. 지금 무처럼. 아, 집중하자, 집중. 진짜 왔다, 왔어. 이제 왔어. 잠깐만. 어? 어. 이거 못 깨. 아, 미치겠네, 진짜. 못 깨는 건 맞는 거야. 내가 못 깨는 거야. 원래 못 깨는 문제. 하나 더 같이. 미안. 내가. 나가. 아유, 진짜. 여기가 시간 걸리는 부분인데. 캡숑! 불러 빨리 했어. 아씨! 뚜껑 가서 그쪽으로 한 가. 이렇게 좀 뭐가 돼? 이게 풀려? 잠깐만. 아니요. 여기가 여기서 뭐가 있어야 되는 거 아니야? 여기에 뭐가 있을 거는 아닐 것 같은데, 내 생각에는. 아니. 아, 미친다. 뭘 끝나서 이거 뭐겠어? 아, 노래 끝나기 전에 이렇게 보면 되는 거 아니야? 와, 뭘 또 해야 되는 거야? 여기 남아있어? 노래가 끝나기 전에 여기까지 들어오면은 그런 건 줄 알았어. 여기도 하고 지나가야 되는 게 또 있는 거지, 그러면? 아! 아니, 이거 아니지. 기둥이 닫히는 게 뭐가 있나? 내가 온 길을 기억해서 어디다 그려야 되는 게 있나? 길막 막히잖아. 그래서 내가 왔던 길을 어디다 그릴 수 있는 게 있냐고. 저거 하면은 다 되는 건 줄 알았어. 아, 이거 또 있었는데? 저건 안 되고. 아니, 한 바퀴 또 둘러보기 전에 보이는 것 중에 안 푼 게 없는지 뭘 풀어? 안 푼 게 있어야지 그걸 푸나보다 하고 넘어갈 거 아니야. 그렇지? 멘붕. 진짜 멘붕. 초멘붕. 아, 이건가 보다. 여기서 갔던 길대로 가야 되나 보다. 여기서 갔던 길대로 가야 되나 봐. 아, 제발 한 번만 더 해보자. 빼자. 아이씨, 몰라. 이 길대로 가야 되나 봐. 이쪽으로. 어? 아, ES 지금 끝이라고? 교체하려고 했는데. 아, 더 어려워. 어? 참네. 아니, 다시 해, 다시 해. 아, 진짜 별. 아, 참. 됐냐? 왜 안 들어와? 그치. 아유. 빨리 가자. 좀 쉬워. 좌, 우, 좌, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. 아오, 기다려봐. 돼? 비행을 진짜. 아유. 뭐야 이거? 아. 그 세모가 써있는 위치에 문제 두 개만 있어. 두 개만 풀면 진짜 이거. 계속 가면 돼. 아, 시킨 줄 알았네? 뭐야 이거? 근데 어딨어? 그래서 저거 두 개를 풀면서 오는 게 핵심이고, 저거 두 개는 아까 오바이오 거기에 보이는 서버 위치가 있어. 거기 가서 오면 되고, 그리고 중요한 거는 저거 타고 나와서도 풀어야 될 게 또 있다는 거야. 기둥, 물 때리는구만. 아유. 이렇게 아직도 길도 못 찾아 도대체 언제 5초에 쳐나갈래? 이번 이제 알아서 생각하자. 근데 아까 진짜 되게 쉽게 했던 건데. 이거 1, 2 아이씨 3, 2 2 3, 2 2 3 2 2 어디야? 아, 밑에서부터 나오는 적도 있어. 아, 저 위야. 아, 밑이야. 아, 진짜. 손에서 왜 개판이냐? 어디가? 쉬운 그걸로 뜨고. 아닌가? 하나 다 뽑았어. 지금 하나 있어야 되는데? 아, 저 차례. 아씨. 사는데 진짜? 아, 시간 너무 없다. 아, 미친. 아, 너무 늦었어. 아! 네 개야, 기능이. 기능 4개. 아, 진짜. 그건데. 아, 진짜. 더러워. 더러워. 여기서 있는 건 어떡하냐. 뭐, 저기 있어? 이게 쉽게 나와야 돼. 그치, 지나가자마자, 시작하려네. 이쪽으로, 잠깐 갔다가, 시작하자마자. 이건 진짜 베스트로 나왔어. 안 돼. 머리야, 굴러가라. 아, 저기. 머리야, 돌아가라. 늦었어. 이런 게 많잖아. 멘붕한다. 예정 지었다. 아, 왜? 아유. 이거 빠졌어야 돼. 여기가 진짜. 잠깐만요. 씨발, 뭐. 이거 좋은데? 이거 오는 게 있는데? 그 위치가 바뀌었나? 처음부터 이렇게 여기서? 3렙 탔어. 3렙 탔어. 하라고요. 되게 시원해. 됐어. 망했어. 몰라 못해요. 몰라 못한다. 네, 알겠습니다. 몰라 못합니다. 몰라 못합니다. 제발 쉽게. 아이고 어렵다. 뭐 더러워. 쭉 들어갔다가 가는 게 뭐야, 오른쪽으로 가서 쭉 갔다가 우선 안 하고 빨리 했다. 방금 풀렸으면 좀 골치 아플 뻔했지, 너도? 너무 리스키하게 생각하지 마자. 아, 얘가 아닌데? 아, 여기서 시작해서 바꾸네. 이거 못 풀어. 나 진짜 불가능하고. 안 했네? 잠깐만. 미친. 그림을. 더 쉬운 거 뚫렸잖아. 아이씨, 진짜. 근데 좀 싫었네. 아씨, 뭐. 뭐? 아씨, 진짜. 개어렵네. 이쯤에서 저거 풀고 있어야 되는데. 타이밍 맞으려면. 이거 안 되는 거 판단을 잘 못하겠어. 여기서 항상 시간을 쓰는다니까? 저거는 보여줘. 될 때까지 한다. 나의 멍청함에 화가 나지만 어쩌겠냐. 어쩌겠냐. 될 때까지 해야지. 아 진짜 이건 길을 못 찾아서 못 본다는 변명을 할 수가 없다. 이제 길 다 알아 이제. 다 알아 이제. 진짜 쪽팔려서 변명할 수가 없어. 이건 변명할 수 있다. 아우 이거 이제 알면 어떡하냐. 그러니까 좀 페이스 나쁘지 않다는데 저거 가는 길이 좀 여기 지금 별로 이거 없어. 여기서 나가면 여기가 길이 하나도 없는데. 침착해. 왼쪽에 어디 있구나. 응? 잠깐만. 저 있지 않았어? 원래 두 개였어? 아, 젠장할. 네 개인 줄 알았네. 깬 거야? 도전까지 떴으니까 깬 거지? 그런가 봐. 허무가 밀려온다. 이거 아니라. 깬 건가 봐. 몇 문제 풀었냐? 505개. 530개? 530 몇 개 되던데. 아프면. 지금 뭐야? 녹화실로 가야지. 녹화실이래. 비디오 재생실. 추천 건방이고. 여기로 가는 거 맞아. 이거 맞아. 이길 맞아. 이길 맞아. 그럼 이따가 좀 풀자. 엘리베이터 안 타도 될 것 같은데. 안 타고 갔던 것 같은데. 타야 되나 봐. 비디오실을 이렇게 갔었나? 이게 비디오실 가는 길이라고? 아닌데? 이거 오히려 처음 들어왔던 입구지. 그 사람아. 뭐야? 뭐야? 또 길해졌다. 또 길해졌다.
Just reading these well, picking the right takes, placing them.
Yeah, I don't think it pays to be too neat. You want to leave some traces of us for the intrepid to find.
What do you mean? Any visitor to that island is going to hear quite a lot of us, if they poke around.
Oh yeah, no, sure, but I mean, showing what's happening behind the scenes a little bit to ensure we keep authenticity. Because if we get too concerned with saying a bunch of wise things in the least personally revealing way, then we're basically putting up a front, in danger of it becoming a false front. It's a slippery slope, and you know how easily we could slide into pomposity. Nobody wants that, but would we notice if it happened? Or are we too close to the project? Look,
엄마야.
just think, if we include some of our interactions, show that we aren't these transcendent, perfect beings, that we get stuck sometimes. We get into arguments or get depressed. Then at least it's not a false front. At least we're not hiding.
Authenticity is good, yes, but you can find human drama anywhere. I mean, we're drowning in it from day to day. We're supposed to be building a quiet environment away from drama, not celebrating it. Look, these are objects of contemplation. These are about focus and clarity. We agreed at the outset.
Yeah, I know. And I don't want to change any of that. Just a little added twist, you know, tucked away deep. It doesn't have to be drama, it's just reality.
Reality. So, what, we should record a meeting and stick it in?
Maybe. But we already have some good stuff. Oh, like that little encounter the other week where you offered to buy a girl a sandwich?
Oh.
Her mic was running, so it's in the archive. Look, it's fine. In context, it's perfect. Because we're not lecturing from on high.
누군가?
These recordings are part of an endeavor built by human beings. And they aspire to truth with a capital T. But we also have to remember that they cannot actually get there. We should be clear to the intrepid that we know this. I think it'll make it better.
Okay, sure. We'll at least see how it feels.
아, 미치겠네.
I mean, on that island, we are going to be in very susceptible states.
아씨, 뭐, 똑같은 비밀 떨고 있어.
Okay.
Seems I get to be the pioneer of being mildly embarrassed.
Oh, and also, should probably let you know, I'm recording this conversation right now.
No, come on.
No, I'm serious.
Oh.
What? It will make it better. Trust me.
아, 나 이렇게 길을 못 찾을 때마다 좌절감이 든다. 그냥 이 좌절감을 아니? 그냥 이 좌절감을 알아요? 녹음실로 가는 길이 있단 말이야. 엘리베이터 나가는 길, 나가는 길, 엘리베이터. 내가 내려온 길. 엘리베이터로 가는 길. 챌린지 룸으로 가는 길. 아, 저기서 연결되는 거였나? 그랬던 것 같기도 하다. 여기서 연결되는 거였던 것 같기도 하다. 여기도 뭐 하나 있었잖아. 제가 그렇게 바보팅은 아니었네. 여긴가 방송실? 방송실 도착했구나. 반갑구나 야. 잠깐만 스크린샷 좀 띄워보고. 방송실 도착했구나.
How many of you here have personally witnessed a total eclipse of the sun? To stand one day in the shadow of the moon is one of my humble goals in life. The closest I ever came was over 30 years ago. On February 26th, 1979, a solar eclipse passed directly over the city of Portland. I bought my bus tickets and found a place to stay, but in the end, I couldn't get the time off work. Well, anyone who lives in Portland can tell you that the chances of catching the sun in February are pretty slim. And sure enough, the skies over the city that day were completely overcast. I wouldn't have seen a thing. That work I couldn't get out of was my first job out of college. A sales clerk at an old Radio Shack store in beautiful downtown Worcester, Massachusetts. On my very first day behind the counter, a delivery truck pulled up to the front of the store. They carried in a big carton, upon which was printed the legend, TRS-80. It was our floor sample of the world's first mass-market microcomputer. The TRS-80 Model 1 had a Z80 processor clocked at 1.7 MHz, 4,096 bytes of memory, and a 64-character black and white text display. The only storage was a cassette recorder. All this could be yours for the low, low price of $599. The store I was working in had seen better days. At one time, it had been near the center of a thriving commercial district. But like so many other New England cities, the advent of shopping malls had, by the early 70s, turned it into a ghost town. Worcester's solution to this problem was decisive, to say the least. The city's elders apparently decided that if they couldn't beat them, they would join them. And so, several square blocks at the heart of the city were bulldozed into oblivion, destroying dozens of family businesses, including the site of a pharmacy once operated by my great-grandfather. In their place was erected a vast 3-level shopping complex, with cinemas and a food court. When the dust settled, only a few forlorn blocks of the old Worcester remained standing. My Radio Shack store was in one of those blocks. Then, to add insult to injury, Radio Shack opened a brand new location inside the shopping center, less than 500 feet from my store. So now patrons have a choice between a clean, well-lighted establishment with uniformed security and acres of convenient parking, or a shabby office building next to an adult movie theater. Consequently, I had plenty of time to fool around with the new computer. I taught myself basic programming. Then I learned Z80 assembly. Both, of course, so that I could write games. I also created self-running animated demos, which ran all night in the store window for the edification of the winos who peed in our doorway. Strangely enough, the few customers we had didn't seem to be interested in our new computer, even after the 16K memory upgrade. In fact, most of the people who set off the buzzer on their way through the front door weren't there to buy anything at all. They were there to exploit a free promotion, which was the bane of Radio Shack employees for over 40 years. The Battery of the Month Club. The idea of this promotion was simple. Customers got a little red card upon which was printed a square for each month. 12 times a year, the lucky sales clerk got to punch out a square and give the customer one brand new AAA, AA, C, D, or 9-volt battery. Of course, customers weren't allowed to choose just any grade of battery. At the time of my employment, Radio Shack offered 3 different levels of battery excellence. First were the alkalines, powerful, long-lasting, and expensive, hanging behind the counter like prescription medication in gold-embossed blister packs. These were most certainly not available through the Battery of the Month Club. Next were the high-end lead batteries, sturdy, dependable batteries, moderately priced, and prominently displayed near the front of the store. These were also not available through the Battery of the Month Club. Finally, at the bottom of the barrel were the standard lead batteries. These were literally piled in barrels, cunningly located way at the back of the store, in a dark corner near the TV antennas. Remember TV antennas? Customers who came in looking for their free Battery of the Month had to walk the entire length of the premises, past the CB radios and stereo headphones and remote-controlled racing cars. Nothing would stop them. On the first day of every month, like clockwork, those customers came in waving their little red cards. I would look up from my programming and wave them to the back of the store. It didn't matter that the batteries were only worth 29 cents. It didn't matter that most of them were already half dead. They came, they grabbed. And as far as I can remember, not one of them ever paid for a damn thing. I was such a crappy salesman. I was young and foolish. I thought my education in game design was happening at the keyboard. I almost missed the lesson coming through the front door. Fortunately, I wasn't the only person fooling around with games on micros. All over the country, people like me were experimenting. Scott Adams was coding what would soon become the world's first. My future employer, Infocom, was being founded, along with other legendary companies like Online Systems, Sirius, Personal Software, and SSI. Those were exciting times. Teenagers were making fortunes. Games were cheap and easy to build. The slate was clean. But in 1979, the biggest news in gaming had nothing to do with computers. On the morning of the autumn equinox, September 20th, a new children's picture book appeared in the stores of Great Britain. This picture book was rather peculiar. It consisted of 15 meticulously detailed color paintings, illustrating a slight whimsical tale about a rabbit delivering a jewel to the moon. On the back jacket of the book was a color photograph of a real jewel, shaped like a running rabbit, 5 inches long, fashioned of 18-karat gold, suspended with ornaments and bells, together with a sun and moon of blue
말
quartz.
좀 빨리 해라.
According to the blurb underneath, this very jewel had been buried somewhere in England. Clues pointing to its location were concealed in the text and in the pictures of the book. The treasure would belong to whoever found it first. The book was called Masquerade. It was created by an eccentric little man with divergent eyes and a talent for mischief named Kit Williams. Within days, the first printing was sold out, and the empire that never sleeps found itself in the grip of rabbit fever.
라빗?
Excited
fever.
readers attacked the paintings with rulers, compasses, and protractors. Magazine articles and TV specials dissected the clues, floated theories, and
얘기겠지,
followed with
당연히.
keen delight the reckless
신기하네.
exploits of the fanatics. One obscure park, unfortunately known by the nickname Rabbit Hill, was so riddled with holes excavated by misguided treasure seekers that the authorities had to erect signs assuring the public that no gold rabbits were to be found there.
79년 이게?
Some hunters ended up seeking psychological counseling for their obsession.
라빗 fever.
The craze leapt over the Atlantic Ocean and invaded America, France, Italy, and Germany. It sold over 1 million copies in a few months, a record unrivaled by any children's title until the advent of Harry Potter.
세상에.
Over 150,000 copies were sold in foreign translations,
헐 세상에.
including 80,000 copies in Japanese, despite the fact that the puzzle was only solvable in English.
재밌는
It didn't
진짜
matter that the masquerade jewel was only worth a few $1,000s. Many seekers spent far more than that in their months of exploration and travel. It was the thrill of the chase, the possibility of being the one. Treasure hunts, secret messages, and hidden things seem to exert an irresistible appeal. They're fun to look for and to talk about, and this fact of human psychology has been exploited in
얘기를 하기
computer
위해서
games since the
그때까지
earliest
저걸
days.
사는 친구야?
It finds expression in the hidden surprises we call Easter eggs. Atari's Stephen Wright is credited with coining this term in the first issue of Electronic Games magazine. The first Easter egg in a commercial computer game appeared in an early Atari 2600 cartridge called, simply enough, Adventure. By a sequence of unlikely movements and obscure manipulations, players could discover a secret room where the words "created by Warren Robinette" appeared in flashing letters. Over the decades, Easter eggs and their evil twin, cheat codes,
사실
have
공략을
become an
안
industry
보고 풀
within
수
an
없는 못 듣는
industry.
것에
Entire
감사합니다.
magazines and websites are now devoted to their carefully orchestrated discovery and dissemination. They're part of our toolkit, our basic vocabulary, the language of computer game design. Computer gamers may have been the first to refer to hidden surprises as Easter eggs, but we certainly weren't the first to use them. Painters, composers, and artists of every discipline have been hiding stuff in their works for centuries. The recent advent of VCRs and Laserdisc players with freeze-frame capability exposed decades of secret Disney erotica. Thomas Kincaid, the self-appointed painter of light, amuses himself by hiding the letter N in his works. A number beside his signature indicates how many N's are hidden in each painting.
그래?
Picasso, Dali, Raphael, Poussin, and
Raphael.
dozens of other painters
발음 좋다.
concealed all
발음이 아니라
kinds of stuff in
Raphael.
their paintings. A favorite trick was hiding portraits of themselves, their families, friends, and fellow artists in crowd scenes. El Greco loved dogs, but the Catholic Church forbid him from including any in his sacred paintings. So he hid them, usually within the outlines of celestial clouds. Composer Dmitri Shostakovich chafed under the political censorship imposed by the Soviet Ministry of Culture.
아니
His
그래서
symphonies and chamber works are loaded with hidden signatures and subversive subtexts, which,
진짜?
had they been recognized, would have sent him to Siberia.
어,
Mozart's opera, The Magic Flute, is filled with musical allusions to the rituals of the Freemasons, the ancient secret society of which he and his mentor Haydn were members. But the most famous purveyor of Easter eggs is that champion of the late Baroque, the ultimate musical nerd, Johann Sebastian Bach. Bach was a student of gematria, the art of assigning numeric values to letters of the alphabet. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, etc. By comparing, sequencing, or otherwise manipulating these numbers, secret messages can be concealed. Bach took particular delight in the geometrical numbers 14 and 41. 14 is the sum of the initials of his last name. B equals 2, A equals 1, C equals 3, and H equals 8. 41 is the sum of his expanded initials, J.S. Bach. These two numbers show up over and over again in Bach's compositions. One of the better-known examples is his setting of the chorale Vor deinem Thron. The first line of the melody contains exactly 14 notes, and the entire melody, from start to finish, contains 41. Another of Bach's favorite games was the puzzle canon. A canon is a melody that sounds good when you play it on top of itself, a little bit out of sync. Frere Jacques and Row, Row, Row Your Boat are familiar examples of simple, two-voice canons. But a canon can employ any number of voices, and you don't have to play each voice the same way either. You can change the octave, transpose the key, invert the pitch, play it backwards, or any combination. Finding melodies that make good multi-voice canons is a fussy and difficult art, of which Bach was an undisputed master. Now, in a puzzle canon, the composer specifies the basic melody and the number of voices, but not the relationship of the voices. The student has to figure out the position and key of each voice, and whether to perform them inverted and/or backwards. Bach wrote quite a number of puzzle canons. The most famous, BWV 1076, is part of a fascinating story. One of Bach's students was a fellow by the name of Lorenz Misler, founder of the Society of Musical Science. This elite, invitation-only institution devoted itself to the study of Pythagorean philosophy and the union of music and mathematics. Its distinguished membership reads like a who's who of German composers, including Handel, Telemann, and eventually Mozart. Applicants for membership in the society were required to submit an oil portrait of themselves, along with a specimen of original music. With nerdly efficiency, Society member number 14 decided to combine these admission requirements into a single work. He sat for a portrait with Elias Haussmann, official artist at the court of Dresden. This portrait, which now hangs in the gallery of the town hall in Leipzig, is the only indisputably authentic image of Bach in existence. The Haussmann portrait shows Bach dressed in a formal coat with exactly 14 buttons. In his hand is a sheet of music paper, upon which is written a puzzle canon for 6 simultaneous voices. In 1974, a manuscript was discovered which proved that this canon was the 13th in a series of exactly 14 canons based on the ground theme of the famous Goldberg variations. As if these musical gymnastics weren't enough, Bach liked to hide messages in his compositions by assigning notes to the letters. His initials, B-A-C-H, correspond to the pitch sequence B-flat, A, C, and B natural in German letter notation. This theme makes its most memorable appearance in the last bars of his final composition, The Art of Fugue, published soon after his death in 1750. The word fugue comes from the Latin fuga, which means flight, as in running away. So the art of fugue is the art of flight, the art of taking a theme and running with it.
아,
Bach wrote hundreds of fugues, but none as sublime as this sequence of 14.
나 지겨워.
In the last and most complicated fugue in the series, the first and second sections develop normally. This is followed by the BACH signature, and then suddenly, without any warning or structural justification, the fugue stops, dead in its tracks. One of the composer's 20 children, his son Carl Philipp Emanuel, claimed that Bach died moments after those last few notes were written. This is apocryphal. The Easter eggs in Bach's music are a pleasant obscurity, known chiefly to professors and students of Baroque music. But in March of 2002, when this lecture was first delivered, those Easter eggs were the talk of the entire classical music industry. Sitting near the top of the classical music charts that month was a compact disc on the ECM label called Mortimer. It was performed by the Hilliard Choral Ensemble, together with a talented but, until then, little-known violinist, Christoph Poppen. The music on Mortimer is based on a geometrical analysis of Bach's Partita in D minor for solo violin. This analysis, by German professor Helga Thom, assigns numeric values to the duration of notes, the number of bars, and the German letter notation of the partita. In doing so, she claims to have discovered the complete text of
돌리려고 한다.
several liturgical
최악이다.
ceremonies encoded in the notes.
최악이다.
The CD presented these hidden texts superimposed over the original music. The result was strangely melancholy, dark, haunting, and very, very popular. Quite a few music critics attacked this disc. They didn't buy Professor Thon's analysis, dismissing it as a combination of numerology and canny marketing. Their caution was not without basis. Numerology is a slippery slope down which many a fine mind has slid to its doom. Allow me to offer an amusing anecdote from my own experience. Back in the early 90s, before the internet took off, one of the more popular online bulletin board systems was a service called Prodigy. I bought an account on Prodigy so I could join a fraternal interest group and gossip with fellow members around the country. One day, a stranger appeared on our bulletin board. Right away, I knew we were in trouble. This fellow, whose name was Gary, began spouting all kinds of apocalyptic nonsense about worldwide conspiracies, secret societies, and devil worship. At first, we tried to be polite. We questioned his sources, corrected his histories, logically refuted his claims, and tried to behave in a civilized manner. But instead of soothing him, our attention only made him worse. His conspiratorial warnings became urgent, approaching hysteria. He began to threaten people who disagreed with him. To coin a phrase, Gary went all uppercase. But his most urgent warnings weren't about the gays, the Jews, the Rockefellers, or the Illuminati. According to Gary, the greatest enemy of mankind was Santa Claus.
지금
Gary claimed to possess a secret numerical formula that proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Santa Claus was an avatar of the Antichrist. Intrigued, we pressed Gary to reveal his formula. In doing so, we walked right into his trap. We should have known he had a book to sell. I fell for it. I sent him the $15. Less than a week later, the book arrived. Above an ominous photograph of the Washington Monument was emblazoned the title, 666, The Final Warning. Inside this privately printed 494-page monster, Gary reveals a simple geometrical formula, which he claims was developed by the ancient Sumerians. This formula assigns successive products of 6 to each letter of the alphabet. A equals 6, B equals 12, C equals 18, etc. Imagine my dismay when I applied this ancient formula to the name Santa Claus and obtained the blasphemous sum of 666, the biblical number of the beast. I went on Prodigy and reported to the stunned members of our interest group that Gary was right after all. There could be no doubt that according to the unimpeachable
아이고.
wisdom of ancient Samaria, Santa Claus was the Antichrist. I then went on to point out several other names which, when submitted to Gary's formula, also produced the sum 666. Names like St. James, New York, and New Mexico. Soon the bulletin board was filled with discoveries like computer, Boston tea, and most sinister of all, sing karaoke. Gary left us alone after that. I got my $15 worth. But Gary is hardly the first person to connect secret codes to the Bible. People have been looking for Easter eggs in the Bible for hundreds of years. The Hebrew mystical tradition of Kabbalah can be described as a geometriacal meditation on the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Old Testament. The advent of computers has made the application of numerology to the Bible fast and efficient. The latest spate of Bible searching was instigated by a book published in 1998 by Michael Drosnin, a former Wall Street Journal reporter. His book, The Bible Code, applied a skip cipher in which every nth character in a text is combined to form a message. By applying his skip cipher to the Hebrew text of the Old Testament, Drosnin claimed to have discovered predictions of World War II, the Holocaust, Hiroshima, the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin and both Kennedys, the moon landing, Watergate, the Oklahoma City bombing, the election of Bill Clinton, the death of Princess Di, and the comet that collided with Jupiter. He also found predictions of a giant earthquake in LA, a meteor hitting the Earth, and nuclear Armageddon, all scheduled to occur before the end of the last decade. The Bible Code spent many weeks on the bestseller lists, spawning several sequels and dozens of imitators. The Bible has certainly attracted its share of crackpots, but for the real hardcore egg hunters, nothing can rival the ingenuity, the tenacious scholarship, the stubborn zeal of those who seek the answer to the ultimate literary puzzle, a poisonous conundrum that has squandered fortunes, destroyed careers, and driven healthy, intelligent scholars to the brink of madness and beyond. Who wrote Shakespeare? The essays and books devoted to the Shakespeare authorship problem are sufficient to fill a large library. Several such libraries actually exist. Not even a day-long tutorial, much less an hour lecture, can begin to do justice to this complex, bizarre, and dangerously tantalizing story. Nevertheless, for the unacquainted, I will attempt to summarize the issue in a few paragraphs. The undisputed facts of Shakespeare's life and career could be scribbled on the back of a cocktail napkin. We know for a fact that a man named William Shakespeare was born in 1564 in or around the village of Stratford-upon-Avon. We know that he had a wife and at least 3 children. We know he bought property in Stratford, was involved in several lawsuits with his neighbors, and died there in 1616, aged 52.
그러시군요.
Well, hello. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Witness. Apparently, we're just...
좀,
Only one person contemporary with Shakespeare of Stratford had ever demonstrated that man was the multilingual author, Chancellor to the Courts of Queen Francis Bacon. Dr. Wilmot never dared to publish his theory, but
아이고,
before he
어쨌구나.
died, he confided it to a friend, James Cowell, who in 1805 repeated
미안하다. 그냥 못 들어주겠다. 아이씨, 너희를 못 들어주겠다고 하긴 좀 그렇지.
Then, in 1857, a lady from Stratford
아,
unfolded.
이렇게 봐봐.
In this book, Miss Delia Bacon, no relation to Francis, claimed that the works of Shakespeare were written by a secret cabal of British nobility, including Sir Walter Raleigh and Sir Philip Sidney, as well as Sir Francis Bacon. Delia Bacon's book electrified the world of letters. Battle lines were drawn between the orthodox Stratfordians and the heretical Baconians. Literary societies and scholarly journals were formed to debate the evidence. Hundreds of pamphlets, newspaper articles, and essays were published defending each side and ridiculing the opposition with that self-aggrandizing viciousness peculiar to tenured academics. Armed with her explosive book, Delia Bacon journeyed to Stratford-upon-Avon and, unbelievably, obtained official permission to open Shakespeare's grave. However, when the moment came to actually lift the stone, Delia's self-doubt precipitated a catastrophic nervous breakdown. She later died penniless in a madhouse. Around 1888, things began to get a bit out of hand. U.S. Congressman Ignatius Donnelly of Minnesota became interested in the Shakespeare controversy. One day, browsing through his facsimile copy of the First Folio of 1623, he noted that the word bacon appeared on page 53 of the Histories and also on page 53 of the Comedies. He also noted that Sir Francis Bacon had written extensively on the subject of cryptography. Donnelly began counting line and page numbers, adding and subtracting letters, drawing lines over sentences, circling words, and crossing them out. The result was a complex and virtually incomprehensible algorithm, which he claimed was invented by Bacon to hide secret messages inside the first folio. The greatest Easter egg hunt in the history of Western civilization had begun. Here are just a couple of the sillier highlights. A doctor named Orville Owen of Detroit constructed a bizarre research tool he called the Wheel of Fortune. This wheel consisted of 2 giant wooden spools wrapped with a strip of canvas 2 feet wide and 1,000 feet long. Onto this canvas, he glued the separate pages of the complete works of Bacon, Shakespeare, Marlowe, Greene, Peele, and Spencer, together with Burton's Anatomy of Melancholy. By cranking the spools back and forth, Dr. Owen could quickly zip across the pages in search of clues and cross-references. Employing a large team of secretaries and stenographers, Owen claimed to have uncovered a complete alternative history of Elizabethan England, as well as several entirely new Shakespeare plays and sonnets. Listen to this hidden verse, supposedly penned by the mighty bard himself, which inspired Dr. Owen to build his Wheel of Fortune. Take your knife and cut all our books asunder, and set the leaves on a great firm wheel, which rolls and rolls, and turning the fickle rolling wheel, throw your eyes upon Fortune, that goddess blind, that stands upon a spherical stone, that turning and inconstant rolls in restless variation. After publishing 5 thick volumes of this rubbish, Owen announced the discovery of an anagram, indicating that Bacon's original manuscripts were buried near Chepstow Castle on the River Wye. Owen spent the next 15 years and thousands of dollars excavating the bed of the river with boat crews and high explosives. He died before anything was found. A fellow named Arnsberg wrote an entire book based on the analysis of the significance of a suspicious crack in the tomb of Bacon's mother. A Ray of Sanity finally appeared in 1957. To those familiar with the science of cryptology, the name William Friedman needs little introduction. During World War II, Colonel Friedman was the head of the U.S. Army's Cryptoanalytic Bureau. He is credited with cracking the Japanese Empire's most sensitive cipher. After the war, the colonel decided to apply his expertise to the study of the Shakespeare ciphers. He interviewed several of the experts in the field and prepared a detailed scientific analysis, which he published under the title The Shakespeare Ciphers Examined. His conclusion? In a word, bunk. According to the standards of cryptologic science, not one of the hidden messages purportedly discovered in Shakespeare's works was plausible. The rules used to extract these messages from the texts were non-rigorous, wildly subjective, and unrepeatable by anyone except the original decipherer. The people involved were not being dishonest. They were channeling their preconceptions. They were trapped in a labyrinth of delusion, mining order from chaos. Anglers in a lake of darkness. Lear, Act 3, Scene 6. You would think that Friedman's cold and ruthless exposure would be enough to silence the heretics once and for all. Not a chance. The books and TV specials and websites and conferences and doctoral dissertations keep right on coming. I should point out that the Shakespeare authorship issue is not only the preoccupation of cranks and weirdos. A substantial number of respected authors and Shakespeareans have expressed serious doubts about the traditional origin of the plays. The list includes Nathaniel Hawthorne, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Walt Whitman, Henry James, Sam Clemens, Sigmund Freud, Orson Welles, and Sir John Gielgud. Living skeptics include the artistic director of the New Globe Theatre, Mark Rylance, Michael York, Derek Jacobi, Kenneth Branagh, and even that most revered and scholarly of contemporary Shakespearean actors, Keanu Reeves. The current leading candidate for the authorship is Edward de Vere, the 17th Earl of Oxford, a theory first proposed in 1920 by an English schoolmaster with the unfortunate name J. Thomas Looney. What is it about Bach, the Bible, and the works of Shakespeare that inspires this intense scrutiny? Nobody's looking for acrostics in Chaucer or Keats. There are no hit CDs of the secret chorales of Wagner or Beethoven. For the answer, we need to recognize the unique roles which the Bible and Shakespeare have played in the development of Western culture. No other single work of literature has influenced modern English more than the translation of the Holy Bible published in 1611 under the auspices of King James I. The King James Bible exemplifies the meaning of the word classic. It has been called the noblest monument of English prose, the very greatest achievement of the English language. It has served as an inspiration
잠깐만.
for
야, 이제
generations of
딴거 할
poets,
거야,
dramatists, musicians, politicians, and orators. Countless people have learned to read by repeating the phrases in this, the only book their family possessed. Our constitutions and our laws.
더 이상은 못 듣겠다. 그럴 만큼 들었어. 참을 만큼 참았어. 때까지 갔어요. 찾아 나가자. 찾았지? 왔고 성으로 갈 거야. 나는 성으로 가려면은 이게 아닌가? 어디로 가야 되지? 저쪽이다. 자, 이거는 그 뭐야 VG247? 아니 VG247 이런 사이트에 있는 시크릿 워크스루가 있어요. 그래서 그걸 보면서 따라가 보려고 합니다. 여기 어디야? 나 여기 이상한 데 갔어. 길 따라서 가라고. 길 따라서 이상한 데 가지 말고. 성에서부터 시작을 할 건데요. The first wood page available as soon as it's available. 나와서 이쪽으로 가다가 이쪽으로 가다가 여기서 가서 넥스트. 어? 참. 이거는 넓고 해야 되는 거잖아. 내가 말한 게 아니야? 여기. 여기는 아 이거 어? 여기 있대. 오마이갓 시다이마.
Through many births, I have wandered on and on, searching for, but never finding, the builder of this house.
어? 끝이십니까? 많이 짧으시군요. 나는 이거를 하기 위해서 올라왔던 것이냐? 아니, 굳이 석 안에 안 들어가도 여기 문 열어놓은 게 있는데. 주문 설정 이런 게 있어. 여기? 아, 여기.
Of all the communities available to us, There's not one I would want to devote myself to, except for the Society of True Searchers, which has very few living members at any time. Albert Einstein, 1924.
너무 집중 안 했다. 다시.
Of all the communities available to us, there's not one I would want to devote myself to, except for the Society of True Searchers, which has very few living members at any time. Albert Einstein, 1924.
이 성에서는 요 두 개 찾았고, 여기서 나와서 메인 패스 오렌지락이 나올 때까지 메인 패스를 타고 가라. 오렌지락 여기지. 그 다음에 여기서 썬루프트를 하시면요, 이 오렌지락 위로 올라갈 수 있는 슬로프가 있죠. 여기서 여기 넘어갈 수가 있다고? 이런 길이 있었군요. 오호라. 오호라. 아이고. 얘는 풀어도 도움이 안 되는 건 같고. 그 친구는 클로버웨이스 다운. 시계 방향으로 이걸 보고. 사막으로 가라는 거지, 이 말은. 이제 영어가 해석이 안 되네. 사막으로 가라는 거 같은데, 이거 제대로 안 듣고 있니? 그렇게 말하는 거구나. 여기 와서 이거 아닌가? 저인가? 뭐야, 사진을 찍어줘도 어딘지를 모르겠네. 아, 이 위로 올라가야 되는 건가 보다. 여기, 이거 안 올라갔다고? 너무한데? 이건 보고.
I maintain that the cosmic religious feeling is the strongest
그렇습니까?
and noblest motive for scientific research. Only those who realize the immense efforts and, above all, the devotion without which pioneer work in theoretical science cannot be achieved are able to grasp the strength of the emotion out of which alone such work, remote as it is from the immediate realities of life, can issue. What a deep conviction of the rationality of the universe, and what a yearning to understand, were it but a feeble reflection of the mind revealed in this world, Kepler and Newton must have had to enable them to spend years of solitary labor in disentangling the principles of celestial mechanics. Those whose acquaintance with scientific research is derived chiefly from its practical results easily develop a completely false notion of the mentality of the men who, surrounded by a skeptical world, have shown the way to kindred spirits scattered wide through the world and through the centuries. Only one who has devoted his life to similar ends can have a vivid realization of what has inspired these men and given them the strength to remain true to their purpose in spite of countless failures. It is cosmic religious feeling that gives a man such strength. A contemporary has said, not unjustly, that in this materialistic age of ours, the serious scientific workers are the only profoundly religious people. Albert Einstein, 1930.
그다음에 윈드밀로 가다 보네. 이거 안 내려가도 되는 건데. 아인슈타인 아저씨가 멋있는 말을 많이 했어요. 윈드밀 가자. 풍차 풍치기 저치기 풍치기 저치기 풍치기 저치기 풍치기 저치기 풍풍풍 차 풍풍풍 차 여기도 아니다. 저 과수원 쪽에서 들어가야지 풍차가 되네. 풍차 저기 있다. 자, 풍차. You can ignore puzzle inside the windmill. 잠깐만. 이거더니? 왜? 나 참나 진짜. 아 이건 풍차 만두빵을 하나 더 해먹겠네. 그렇고 풍차를 반대 방향으로 돌리면은 그럼 반대 방향으로 돌리는 거 아니야? 풍차 그냥 멈추나? 몰라. 화면 퍼즐은 손 떼기로 했습니다. 아, 시애터에 있는 퍼즐보드 말하는 거구나. 야, 시애터에 있는 퍼즐보드는 풀었어. 맞지? 풀었어. 안 가도 돼. 그 다음에는, 채석장? 이 쿼리가, 단어 뜻이 뭐니? 아무튼, 그림 보니까 채석장이네. 아이씨, 여기 가야 돼. 저쪽인가? 으쌰. 여기다. 계단 있는 쪽. 이쪽. 인가? 비슷한데, 이쪽. 근처. 어? 이거 어디? 정확하게 어딘지 알아야겠다. 위에서, 잠깐만? 이거 아니지. 지금 위치가 어디야? 더 올라간 쪽인가? 레이저는 화면 저쪽이고. 여기가 어디쯤인 거지? 울타리가 일단 이렇게 있고, 갈색 상점, 여기다. 이 근처인데? 여기 근처. 네. 여기도 올라갈 수가 있다고? 뭔 소리야? 여기 어떻게 올라가요? 올라갈 수 있네. 허허, 여기 있었구만. 아이고. 그리고는 다시 단풍 숲으로 갑시다. 단풍 숲 저기 건너편이었죠. 저기 가면 되지. 단풍숲으로 갑시다. 이런 거는 진짜 엄마야. 문 내려가니? 여기 타고 내려가야 되던가? 아니, 귀찮아 죽겠네. 아니, 일로 그냥 바닥으로 내려가겠다고. 뭐, 멀리 가자는 게 아니라요. 왜 그 길을 안 가르쳐줘요? 그렇지. 그렇지. 여기가 단풍숲입니다. 그래서 단풍숲에는 그 노란 캐비넷 같은데 꼴 지점이고 이거 아닌데? 이거 말고 더 있는데 더 무슨 노란 캐비넷 같은 게 뭐 있었는데 여기 돌로트 핸드 일로 가는 길을 찾아서 여기 아니 한 거 같은데 이거? 오디오파이인데 이거 듣긴 들었어. 자막이 없이 들어서
In a
그렇지.
sense, what modern physics is
그렇게
to
소리한다고.
the history of Western thought, Zen is to the development of the Eastern worldview.
그놈의
The
쟤는
ultimate
도대체
refinement of more than 2,000 years of incisive debate, discussion, and critical development. Yet the difference between the two could hardly be more marked. Whereas physics is interested above all in theories, concepts, and formulas, Zen values only the concrete and the simple. Zen wants facts, Not in the Western sense of things that are measurable and numerical, which are in fact abstractions, but as living, immediate, and tangible. Its
요새로
approach to
갑시다.
understanding is not to theorize, because it recognizes that previously accumulated ideas and knowledge, in other words, memories of all kinds, block the direct perception of reality. Therefore, Zen adopts an unusual approach. Its buildup involves language, which is unavoidable. Any method, even if it turns out to be an anti-method, has first to convey some background in order to be effective. But the way Zen uses language is always to point beyond language, beyond concepts to the concrete. David Darling,
누구야?
1996.
나 지금 여기 30분 무직 뭐 이런 거 나오는 줄 알았더니 바닷가 쪽. 바닷가 쪽. 이건 저인 것 같은데? 여기 아닌가? 반대쪽으로 이렇게 있나? 이거다. 여기다. 여기에서 응? 라운드 레벨로 가서 썬컨시브로 가는 길이 있구만. 어허. 씨발, 여기 길이 있었어. 아직부터 풀거든. 요새 너무 밟혀서 안 되겠다. 어디가? 근데 이게 문제가 아니라 끝에가 안 이어졌는데? 저 위에서 봐야 되나? 여기서 바라 보이는 거야, 지금. 위에 올라가시면은 될 것 같은데. 이것도 못 올라갔니? 그러네. 참네. 이것만 연결시키면 환경 퍼즐 그냥 가겠는데. 안 되면 말고. 인제만 말고 선크림이나 가자. 렉트 쉽에서 길이 계속 있네. 아, 길이 있게 있는 건데 되게 복잡하군요. 정신가 나와. 일로 갈 수가 없어? 일로 갈 수 있을 것 같은데? 해가. 절로는 내려갈 수가 있네. 하하하. 뭐야. 공략 보고
A ship owner
딱
was
힘들다.
about to send to sea an emigrant ship. He knew that she was old and not well built at the first, that she had seen many seas and climes, and often had needed repairs. Doubts had been suggested to him that possibly she was not seaworthy. These doubts preyed upon his mind and made him unhappy. He thought that perhaps he ought to have her thoroughly overhauled and refitted, even though this should put him at great expense. Before the ship sailed, however, he succeeded in overcoming these melancholy reflections. He said to himself that she had gone safely through so many voyages and weathered so many storms that it was idle to suppose she would not come safely home from this trip also. He would put his trust in Providence, which could hardly fail to protect all these unhappy families that were leaving their fatherland to seek for better times elsewhere. He would dismiss from his mind all ungenerous suspicions about the honesty of builders and contractors. In such ways, he acquired a sincere and comfortable conviction that his vessel was thoroughly safe and seaworthy. He watched her departure with a light heart and benevolent wishes for the success of the exiles in their strange new home that was to be. And he got his insurance money when she went down in mid-ocean and told no tales. What shall we say of him? Surely this, that he was verily guilty of the death of those families. It is admitted that he did sincerely believe in the soundness of his ship, but the sincerity of his conviction can in no wise help him, because he had no right to believe on such evidence as was before him. He had acquired his belief not by honestly earning it in patient investigation, but by stifling his doubts. And although in the end he may have felt so sure about it that he could not think otherwise, yet inasmuch as he had knowingly and willingly worked himself into that frame of mind, he must be held responsible for it. William K. Clifford, 1874.
그래서 이 말을 서포트 해주기 위해서 저 배를 만든 거야? 난파선을 이 게임에 추가한 거야? 정성 돋네. 파란색. 이거 지가 아니야. 못 보고 지나쳤구나. 몇 개나 풀었냐 이제. 510개 아직도. 그리고 바로 마운틴을 가라고요 여기서? 사랑은 가야지 어디가 무슨 힘이 있다고 사랑을 하겠습니까? 네. 우리는 반항할 힘도 없어요. 뭐 하여튼 가다가 갑니다. 정확하게는 벙커로 가다는 뜻이네. 아, 진짜 화가 나가지고. 이거 어떻게 해야 되지? 벙커. 아, 뭐 어쩌고, 뭐 지금 꼭대기로 가는 거야? 어디로 가는 거야? 아, 형 풀었어. 벙커에서 엘리베이터를 못 가는 층에 벙커 1층으로 가야 되나? 아, 귀찮은데 이것도. 아, 귀찮아. 뭐 있는데. 오디오 파일 있다고? 투비하우스에 퍼즐 2개 있는 건 나도 알아. 타원의 컨테이너 안에도 있을 거고. 끝이야? 바보들아. 결국 내가 몰랐던 것도 몇 개 하기는 했지만 아는 게 대부분이잖아. 아이, 바보들아. 바보들아. 아직 내가 못 푼 게 많다고요. 그리고 결정적으로도 항공우를 모으는 게 많은데 무슨 소리야. 저거 비디오는 6개나 모아야 될 거 아니야. 아무리 내가 이렇게 이제는 지겨워서 이제 그만하고 싶은 생각을 갖고 있더라도 비디오는 다 열어야지 그렇지 않겠습니까? 환경 버전 고개 낮춰도 비디오가 엄청 가지고 어쩌고요. 아유 졸려. 4시네. 이씨. 저것도 어디서 오는 거야, 저. 빨간 풀 있는 쪽. 빨간 풀 있는 쪽에서 이렇게 오고 있어. 빨간 풀 어디네. 빨간 풀 보시면 빨간 풀 있는 쪽에서. 여기 빨간 풀이지. 저기 어떻게 가. 건가 이거? 이렇게 내가 한 거고. 아 여기다. 에나 이 꽁꼬야. 찾아야 되는구나. 응? 이게 무슨 소리야? 아, 여기 드디어 열었네. 드디어 열었어요. 당분간은 방고무를 어떻게 찾아야 되냐. 아, 뭐. 테니스, 비디오, 동영상. 아이, 그거 뭐라고 쳐야 돼? 나머지 걔는 뭐라고 나와있지? 시청각실. 쟤는 남들끼는 저걸 서류 가방이라고 표시를 했네. 음, 테니스 공략 서류 가방. 서류 가방 하니까 이상한데? 일단 저 서류 가방이라고 생각한 적조차 없거든. 육각형. 있다. 윈드밀 시에러 헥사곤 퍼즐 솔로 전즈. 자, 내가 스크린샷 찍어 놓은 것들을 확인해서 보자. 헥사곤 솔루션 1, 니얼 더 스타트는 있어요. 비욘드 더 데저트로 인해서 먹은 것도 있어요. 딥 인 더 정글에서도 뭐 이거 언제 먹었지? 하여간 있어요. 인사이드 더 쉼렉에서 아이씨 난파선에서 하나 더 찾아도 되는 거 맞잖아. 난파선에서 더 찾아야 되는 게 맞고 응? At the back of the mountain side에서 해놓은 걸 내가 캡처 안 해놨네? 아 그래? 이거는 왜 안 해놨지? 당연히 이거까지 포함한 줄 알았더니 어디야? 아이씨 뭐 해야 되냐? At the back of the mountain side니까 3위 올라가야 되는데 하나 있어야지. 가자. 등산가다. 알았다, 등산을 하겠구나. 그걸 캡처 안 해놨어. 이거 왜 캡처 안 해놨지? 맞지? 앱덕 백오버드 마우스 사이드에서 이게 그러면 이거는 있고 춤렉으로 가가지고 춤렉이니까 이름 이상하다. 하여튼 랩트 집으로 가가지고 거기 있는 서류 가방을 찾고 게임을 종료짓겠습니다. 난파선을 가는 방법이 있다는 걸 발견한 게 제일 파격적이긴 하다. 아 지겨워. 배 타고 끌고 다니나. 가는 길 찾기가 그래도 쉽진 않을 것이다. 아이 길 없어. 다행이다. 와우, 이렇게 가는 길이 있지롱요. 진짜 이건 신기하고. 아, 이제 아까 당기면 내려가 보지. 뭘 또 뭐가 그렇게 바쁘다고 그냥 갔어요. 어디만 듣고 그냥 빨리 내려가 버렸더니. 좀 불쌍하네. 얼마야. 이것만 러스티드십이 있고 스테어케이스 레프트 코너에 아니 내려가는 길이 찾기가 만만치는 않을 것 같다는 예감이 확 들죠? 이거 못 가냐 이런 거? 이거 왜 못 건너가 바보같이. 바보야 여기 왜 못 건너가? 여기도 못 넘어가? 들어왔다. 소리가 어디에 있어? 그러니까 아니 봐봐. 깜짝이야. 무서웠어 나 지금. 미안하다. 소리. 소리 내봐. 이거 너무 빡세. 왜 소리야 여기서. 괜찮아. 게다가 이거 양쪽에서 나오는 건데 안 보이는 거라고? 빡세다. 소리랑 상관없었는데 할 수 있겠지. 아니 근데 나올 수 있는 조합이 그렇게 많지가 않아서 이렇게 풀릴 것 같은데? 그렇지도 않나? 그거 별로 없지 않아? 아니 이게 순서 나올 수 있는 것만 몇 개 그냥 다 줬다면 되지 않았겠는데. 될 시간이야? 일단 내가 분홍색이고 너가 또 이렇게 얘도 주황색을 깐다고 쳐보자. 뭐야 쉽게 풀렸어. 아 색깔을 다르게 하기만 하면 되나? 뭐야 이거 아니고 네가 열려? 자 비디오 보러 가자. 비디오 판독하러 가자. 비디오를 보면은 게임이 끝이 납니다. 뛰어 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 뛰어. 빨리 나갈 수 있는 길을 달라고 바꿔 나가게. 저기요 밖으로 나가려면 어디로 가야 됩니까? 네? 난 그냥 닥치고 빨리 밖으로 나가고 싶은 사람일 뿐이라고. 아 진짜. 아니 연문에 이렇게 내려가는 게 있었잖아. 진짜 이러지 말자. 저쪽인가? 그냥 나가는 게 있잖아 너. 모른 척해. 나가는 길 없냐? 나가는 게 있는데 아까 너도 글로 들어왔어. 그리고 바보야. 오래. 여기 몇 번을 왔다 갔다 했는데 나도 이 길 모르는 사람처럼 이렇게 모자 세우네. 어디야? 됐다. 나가자. 제발 나가자. 저 옆에서 들어오는 게 있었다고 바보야. 됐어. 이제 끝난 게임. 조금 싸우지 맙시다. 교실. 나오나요? 자, 방금 스크린샷 찍어온 두 개를 봅시다. 이거는 선 뒤에서 얻어온 거. 아니, 이거 말고. 이게 선 뒤에서 얻어온 거. 이거, 아, 진짜. 아이, 짜증나네. 큐.
So it's absolutely simple what I have to say to you. It's what my teacher said to me.
아,
And I'm still deeply discovering the reverberation of that. And it's simply stop looking for what you want.
뭐래, 쟤는 또 이상한 소리야.
Not cynically stop looking for what you want. Because there's a way of stopping looking for what you want in resignation and cynicism and closing down. But innocently, openly, stop looking for what you want in this moment. Not tomorrow when you have it. But in this moment, to take one moment, whatever it is you want, however mundane or profound, and just stop looking for it. And you will find more than what you could ever want. Because more than what can be wanted is already who you are. It's too simple to be grasped, but absolutely, completely realizable. If, and it is a huge if, of course, you are willing to give up your hope that what you want will be found in the next thought.
아이고. 좋은 말씀 감사드립니다.
Day, or the next man, or the next woman, or the next teaching, or the next experience. So that's huge. That's the challenge. And I've blessedly traveled to Australia.
네. 좋은 말씀 감사드립니다. 잘 들었습니다.
Know yourself as the open, empty, luminous presence of awareness. Open because you say yes unconditionally and indiscriminately to all appearances of the mind, body, and world. Like empty space, you have no mechanism inherent within you that can resist any appearance. We don't have to make this the case, it is already the case. Empty, because although you, I, this aware presence,
모르겠어. 네. 열심히 떠드시오.
aware of
나는 515개를 풀었어요.
thoughts, sensations, and perceptions.
515개에다가 46개를 풀었고, 이게 한 개야.
It is not made out of a thought, a sensation, or a perception. It
더
is made out
이상은
of pure knowing,
못 풀겠다, 이놈아.
awareness.
안녕. 안녕. 난 이 게임을 종료시킵니다. 게임을 끕니다.
And luminous.
나는 할 만큼 했습니다. 안녕. 끝! 끝! 끝났어. 나는 끝나버렸어. 스팀 켜봐. 몇 시간 했냐? 우와, 39시간 했어. 미친놈. 수고하셨습니다.